Good evening, cheeseheads, and welcome to a YouTube live. No, it's not YouTube, it's Facebook Live tonight. We're taking over. We are on the Cheese Room Facebook page this evening. I'm joined by two of my co-podcasters. Seb, famous for his match reviews and being further up north than me. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, it's probably my only claim to fame is that I'm further north than you. I don't want to be, but I'm stuck here now. That's it. That's it for life.
And you will see tonight, Seb. What are you drinking? Anything tonight? You got anything on the go?
Can you see that?
Water.
Neat vodka. Neat
Yeah.
vodka. Right, water.
And is this because you're a healthy person, or is this because
I'm trying to get healthy, but it's one of my.
Seb, come back to me. He's dropping out. Franco, it appears that the broadband up in Stoke really is that bad.
It's very unreliable.
I love it. Seb, you're back. Are you back?
I'm back. I don't know what happened.
I do. Your northern internet's worse than my northern internet.
That's what you get for PlusNet, mate. Yorkshire.
BT Fibre Infinity. So if you are joining, if you are joining, watching us live for the first time, we do publish these videos all over YouTube regularly. Please do get over to our YouTube channel and subscribe. This is a one-off. You're lucky. We're joining you on Facebook. Do feel free to comment and ask us any questions through the evening. Could be what Frank had for breakfast. Could be who cut his hair. Could be where we think we'll finish in the league this season. We will see. Franco, good evening to you too, my friend. How are you?
I'm very good. As you can see, I've had a chop. The missus did it. I won't show you the back. She didn't even tell me. I was like, I didn't trust it because she was being a bit coy. So I took a photo of the back of my head. She's taken a clump out of the middle. I was just like, can't. At least I'm not going out in public. And if I do, I'll be wearing a hat.
Oh, well, there you go. C'est la vie. I mean, in fairness, my barnet is getting pretty bad, as you can quite clearly see. And not the fact that it's grey, just like I'm going for the just got out of bed look at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not good.
I was going to say, do you get any work in your supermarket as the Christmas Santa?
I mean, is that necessary at this point? That we've barely started. And you're laying into me. I can't believe it.
There's a reason you put me in the middle, isn't there? Wrong
way. I'll pummel him. I'm 6'1". He's about 2'6". Mind you, nasty uppercut, Franco? So, firstly, Franco, I've got a bone to pick with you, right? I've been out Christmas tree shopping today, and anyone who's heard the latest pod will know Franco has had a fantastic rendition of "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year." And I've been literally round Dobbies, like looking at Christmas trees and shit, singing, "It's the most wonderful time of the year." But because I can't remember any of the questions, I'm sort of, any of the lines of it, I'm sort of making them up as I go along. Like there'll be defenders for roasting and like Kane for toasting and things like that. And it's quite embarrassing.
All you need to remember, all you need to remember, caller, is it's the most wonderful midfield with Højbjerg. Yeah.
I mean, I love that. I mean, that is as good as. I mean, I said it was shit on the pod, but that's because I wanted to win. I'll be honest. And I stood no chance with my very lazily constructed football terrace chant that took about approximately 3 minutes. However, you're not quite up there with HG yet, is all I'd say.
Fine, yeah. That's fine.
Who might be joining us later? I'm led to believe. It depends. Apparently, his missus has got him watching The Crown. Either that or he just genuinely wants to watch The Crown. Who knows? So, my first question, we're going to take questions. So if you've got a question, drop it in the comment box below and we will try and get to it throughout the show. There's a few coming in already. So thanks for joining us tonight and we'll try and get to it. So, firstly,
before we start...
Go for it.
I just got to say, if you've not seen the Tottenham YouTube video, I think it's probably on Facebook as well today, of highlights from the game where it's just literally the tackles. I don't think I've ever enjoyed a video of tackles quite as much as that. the weird thing is you watch a game of football and I realise when I'm at the ground, I literally concentrate on the game. I can talk to people around me, but my focus is purely on it. Whilst at home, when I'm nervous, I'm just like, right, what can I look at? What else can I look at to try and escape from this? And I missed just quite how immense it was, how resilient our defending was, but even some of the tackles in midfield, the crunches, it was just amazing. So check out that video. It just condenses it nicely into like a 3-minute of excellent tackles.
There's one from Lo Celso. I think he'd just come on. Obviously, he'd scored already, and he ran back from inside his own third, chased the winger all the way up the pitch, and then slid and won the ball kind of Bobby Moore style, and then just ran forward with it and passed it again. It was just an impeccable piece of play.
That's one of his special moves, the sliding, retain the ball tackle, isn't it? It's great.
Kane's at it now as well. Kane was doing that left, right, centre. Seb, what did you call him?
Lo Celso.
Right, that brings me on to this next point. So Simon King says if Jolly isn't returning soon because he's on a bit of a leave of absence he pops up now and again, but he's not featured on media for a while. He is still alive, guys. He's been fighting bushfires and he's had a baby and all the rest of it. So he's just very busy, got his hands full. He says who would be mispronouncing players' names instead. And I didn't even need to ask the question because you went in there straight away calling Lo Celso Lo Celso. I mean, what else have you got for me? Is Lamella, Pamela, or what?
It's Lo Celso. Lo Celso. You, no doubt, caller, you listened to the pod that Brendan did during lockdown with Tim Vickery.
I mean, obviously, I'm a big Tim Vickery fan.
Our based in Brazil South American expert who said it's Giovanni Lo Celso.
I mean, you're wrong, but Franco, any comment?
Well, Vickery did say that, but I've seen a video of Lo Celso and he doesn't.
Please tell him he calls himself Lo Celso.
Yeah, he does.
I can't help it if the guy doesn't know his own name. It's Lo Celso.
I won't my own name after many more of these. I tell you, that's a bit of gin in that.
Just call him GLC. It's the easiest way, isn't it? GLC.
Yeah. GLC, bit like TLC.
Stop trying to get sponsored by gin makers, caller. For God's sake. Every week, I know what you're doing.
I hope that one day a crate just turns up. My subliminal messaging has paid off.
Do you know what I've got this tonight? Do you know why I've got this water tonight? Because I wanted a can of Coke. And I thought, there's no way I can come on the pod or video or whatever and just sip a can of Coke non-stop. Just asking for trouble.
Couldn't understand the word you say, and your internet's awful. Our caller and Franco going to spend the majority of this pod arguing. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, the thing people don't realise is that we try really hard not to argue because as soon as we get off the pod, all we do is argue. All we do on our Slack chat is argue. All I do when I phone him up or whatever is argue. It's just our natural state.
To argue.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard work. You don't know how committed we are to not arguing. So we just let it slip at the weekend. Exactly.
Simon Rylander says, what are our realistic chances of winning the Europa League? Bearing in mind we know nothing about some or most of the teams in it. Now, guys, prove me wrong that you do know your stuff. Franco, tell me.
Well, according to the bookies, our chances of winning it are 11-2. But look, it's difficult because at this stage, you look at the teams. Arsenal, I think, are second favourites. I'm just going to go through it. AC Milan, Leicester, Napoli, Villarreal, Leverkusen, Roma, Real Sociedad, Benfica, Hoffenheim. All of those teams, I think, on their day could give us a tough game. But then you've also got to factor in the fact that the Champions League losers or third place people can drop down. And there's teams like Real Madrid who might be dropping down this year. And all right, they're not what they were in previous seasons. They're in a bit of trouble. But it's really difficult at this stage. But I think we've got as good a chance as any, to be honest. It's whether we've got a big enough squad to this time to prioritise more than one competition. And, we're still in the League Cup. The FA Cup will start in January as well. It's like we could be fighting on four fronts when it comes to January. So I don't know how pragmatic Jose will be about it and how much rotation he'll do. But at this moment in time, he definitely seems to want to be involved in all the competitions. And I think we've got as good a chance as any of the teams in that list I just ran out.
Well, the bookies make us the favourites then at 11-2. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, look, Arsenal were second favourites. So what do they know?
Favourites for something. We are the favourites for something. I can't remember the last time Spurs were the favourites for anything.
We're a Champions League. We are a Champions League team these days. So I think it's fair enough to assume that we should at least be challenging for it.
We should be up there. Seb, any advance on that?
I can't see many teams in the competition at the moment, certainly, being able to beat us over two legs. That's a massive factor. I feel like we score away, we more than likely score at home. So outscoring us, trying to beat us when we're going to score away goals, which I think we're doing all the time at the moment. I can't, as it stands at the moment. Yeah, look, Real Madrid might drop in. I think they're tied for second. I think they're just third on goal difference. PSG might drop in because they're in Man United and Leipzig's group. But apart from that, I think there's teams like Club Brugge. They're in third place. Lokomotiv Moscow. There shouldn't be too many difficult teams dropping out of the Champions League. So yeah, why not? So our year ends in a 1. We haven't won anything when a year ends in a 1 for the last.
You're in danger of sounding like a Scouser, mate.
We're going to do the quadruple. That's what he's saying. The quadruple is ours.
So I mean,
2001 nothing, 2011 nothing. So we'll make up for it in 2021. And
I'm going to come on to this exact point, right? Once I've poured my gin. So you guys now feel that anything is possible with Jose at the helm, clearly, because we're all of the sudden favourites for everything. Have you changed your mind on him? Because the caller's been calling this from before he was even in the frame for the manager's job. No?
The only thing I've changed my mind on... Oh, sorry. Yeah, the only thing I've changed my mind on is that I can get used to the style of football if the results merit it. So obviously, last season, back in the last season, we had the Sheffield United and Bournemouth games, which were terrible to watch. And obviously the results weren't good either. When the results are good, it does make it a lot easier to watch. And actually, I really enjoyed Saturday. We were talking on the Slack chat during the game, and there were a few people who were alluding to the fact that they didn't like this and things like that. Actually, I really enjoyed the first half. We were under a lot of pressure. Second half was really enjoyable. It's a really enjoyable game, and it was completely different to what we'd seen 12 months previous under Pochettino. So if it carries on the same way, there's just so much belief. You can see it through the whole team. And the players that he's brought in, Reguilon, Højbjerg, they to use your words, caller, they believe. You can see it. So why not?
I bought into the philosophy.
I think the internet might be dodgy. I'm very fuzzy. I do apologise.
I mean, it's probably all that porn you're streaming at the same time, but never mind. Franco, what are you saying?
I've not changed my mind on Jose. No, I never said that he was the wrong appointment. I think if you go back to that pod,
no, you said hell will freeze over before he gets by Bayern. I think, or words to that effect.
I don't talk like that. No, I mean, I still don't really enjoy the football we play under Jose as a spectacle, as something to watch. I just don't. All right, I enjoyed the 6-1 against Man United. That was fantastic, but generally, I think it's pragmatic football, and it's not the sort of football that I enjoy watching that much. But it's still Spurs, and we're still winning games, aren't we? So it's like, I'm not going to argue with it. Don't get me wrong. Like I said to you at the time, if we're getting rid of Poch, it needs to be for a world-class manager, one of these super managers, and it was. And as much as I dislike Jose, I have warmed to him. I've definitely warmed to him. I can't not. He's not grumpy Jose at the moment, is he? When things are going right, he's actually quite enjoyable to listen to. And yeah, everything in the documentary made me kind of warm to him a bit more. So all of those things combined, I am happy with him.
Yeah.
I listened to your review pod of the Manchester City game, and I've got to be honest, caller, I felt really sorry for you because I wanted to scream to the others, you miserable bunch of bastards.
It's true, wasn't it?
Just beaten City 2-0, right? Defending out of our skin.
Seb,
brilliant result. Top of the league.
What I have to contend with? Can you see what I have to contend with?
HG going, oh, well, I don't know if I can put up with this for the whole season. Oh, my God.
What, winning?
Yeah, I know.
You just
Come
got
on,
short
Franco.
memories. You got short memories. Just remember the West Brom game. It wasn't that long ago. Remember the Burnley game. It wasn't that long ago.
The
They
reason
weren't
I have
great
to
games.
consume copious amounts of gin to come on a pod is because this is the shit I have to listen to.
Right. Put it down. At the end of the day, if you're asking me, would I rather win all the games we're winning or watch us play really nice football and lose? I would rather see us win.
Yes. See, I knew you'd see things my way eventually, Franco. Winners win. That's it. That's all there is to it, isn't it?
Yeah, look, if we win trophies, I'll be more than happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the game I remember the most that alludes to that was when we played Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final and lost 4-2. We played some beautiful football that day. Right, I know he put Son at left back, Pochettino or whatever. It was crazy,
that
but
was the Man United game actually. But yeah,
we played some beautiful football that day. That pass from Ericsson, I think, to Dele Alli for the equaliser. There was only one team going to win it, and we lost 4-2. You know. Jose's team would not lose that game from that position at the moment.
Yeah,
that's your example.
Yeah. I have to laugh. Just sent a message in the Slack chat. Brendan McCurdy, shout out Brendan. Are you guys live yet? yes, Brendan. Yes.
Brendan's in a resort somewhere on the coast in Brazil, playing with iguanas. So he's probably got really even worse internet.
Like some sort of Bond villain.
We've got loads of questions. We've got loads of questions, Gordon. We need to run through these, mate.
To him. Don't look. Just because Dancing on Ice or whatever it is on, and you need to get gone. I'm not going to rush through for anyone. Right. I'm going to go through them now. I am going to rush through them for you. Ricardo Hollis says, "Good evening, guys. Hello." Ross Jeffrey says, "League wrapped up by February or March." What? February or March?
Yeah, late March.
Seb?
Yeah, mid-March, concentrating on the Europa and the FA Cup.
Well, I'm the optimist around here. February. Michael Bilicki says, who for Toby against Chelsea? Rodon, Sanchez or Tanganga? Well, I don't think Tanganga's fit, so that really just leaves Rodon or Sanchez. Now, I thought it would be Sanchez, if I'm being really honest, given that he's a right footer and you could quite easily keep Dyer at left centre back, but it looks like Rodon is the flavour of the month everywhere you read. So let's go you, Franco, first. What are your thoughts?
It's very difficult for me to say that we should put a player in when we've not seen him play. That's my only concern. And we know, even though Sanchez has got mistakes in him and he's got all sorts of issues, I'd still probably err on the side of caution. But that's just me. But it does seem like all of the chat is with Rodon, and he's an accomplished player. He's getting plenty of plaudits. Loads of people that have worked with him before say he's going to be an absolute superstar. Yeah, exactly. So he's clearly well respected and well thought of. And the fact that he has been picked ahead on the bench ahead of Sanchez and played at the weekend says to me there's a good chance that he is ahead of him in the pecking order.
Seb wants to say something. Seb.
Not only is he ahead of Sanchez, he's ahead of Ben Davis as a possibility as well, because Jose could have brought on Ben Davis when Toby went off, shifted Dyer to the right, Davis on the left. But so he's ahead in all respects. And let's be honest, he came on for last 5 minutes in a tense game against Burnley, untroubled. Came on for the last 15 minutes in a tense game against Man City, untroubled. So yeah, he's there on merit, and you know Jose's obviously seen something in him, and trusts him. And look, we've all moaned about Sanchez, haven't we? He's gone backwards since his first season. He's very nervy to watch. So yeah.
So from that respect, it's no different to having a rookie in there, really.
Well, Tanganga came into Liverpool, didn't he? You know, Jose. It's not like Jose doesn't trust these youngsters to do it if they're good enough.
They're good enough. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you two are saying Rodon. I'm saying I'll put Sanchez in there, just for the record.
Yeah. If you see Tony Cormack's question as well, which kind of follows on from that, how big an impact will losing Toby be over the next few weeks? I think we're going to find out on Sunday, mate, if I'm honest.
I think it's an interesting one because Toby didn't really play early on in the season, but last few games has become quite solidified in that centre-back position. So we'll see. We're going to miss his long balls. That is absolutely for sure. because
The
Dyer
only
dropped
thing
on the ball. Sorry?
The only thing I would say is that against Chelsea, Werner's it's got incredible pace coming down through that left channel, the one that Toby would occupy. And actually, I mean, I'm guessing Roden is quicker than Toby.
Well, he's about half his age, so
yeah.
you'd hope
so. You never know. In that respect, it might not be the worst thing. Yeah, Toby's got fantastic balls forward, but in terms of being turned and running backwards, if you've got Roden on that side and you've got, I mean, Sissoko did such a good job on Saturday. Yeah. Sissoko will sit in that kind of half-back position and occupy that right-hand side. So yeah, look, I've got my positive head on. Hopefully, it's not as bad as we think, and hopefully, it's 1 or 2 games.
Good. I'm glad you have. Joel Hogan says, after Saturday, Aria is still our best right back. Doesn't say much, really. So it's more of a statement than a question, really. But right back for you, Doherty. We've sort of talked about this before, Seb. I'll come to you. For you, Doherty or Aurier? Who's your man?
2 very good choices. If you ask me now, it'd be Aurier. He's Jose's he's the most improved player under Jose. He was outstanding on Saturday. I mean, the whole team were. I covered it in my article, but Aurier was outstanding, and I don't think he's done anything wrong at all this season. I can't remember an issue with him. Not yet. Well, look, everyone's got a mistake in them, and I don't have a problem with Aurier because when he does try things and they come off, they are actually pretty brilliant. So look, maybe he's not in a position as a right back to be trying to do those types of things. But I like him, and he looks very, very solid this season. You've got to remember as well one thing, just quickly. More often than not, he's playing next to Sanchez. Last season, he's playing next to Sanchez. I'll just leave that there. But that's an issue. Yeah, on. Drop the mic.
Okay, fair enough. Franco, anything to add?
Yeah, it was interesting at the weekend, the fact that Aurier didn't really have to, well, he didn't get forward much, did he? Reguilon was getting forward a lot more. Aurier was the one that sat back. I think he only really had 1 or 2 touches in the opposition half. And defensively, he was really disciplined and held the line. And so we weren't exposed. And I think that's the issue, is that because of the style of football we were asking him to play in previous seasons, where he was more forward than not, and then having to get back when we lost possession, those were when we really had issues. And also there's times, obviously, when he's run the length of the pitch, run all the way back, and then he's got a skillful player trying to trick it past him into the box. That's when he made mistakes. And I just think he looked fairly solid at the weekend. All right, he did give away 1 free kick, but apart from that, I thought he was pretty solid. So yeah, there's not much to say between them. Doherty's not really started the season quite as well as we thought he would. He's kind of finding his way into the team. So at the moment, I don't think there's much between them, and I think they're both capable players.
I'd agree. I think it's either or, really. I think Doherty, we haven't seen the best of him yet, and I think Aurier, we are seeing a massively improved player on last season. Leon Isaacs, I've just got to shout these out. Parker, stop moaning, Francis. Amen to that. Shout out, Leon. I hope you're well. Ross Jeffrey says, still have no idea how Lo Celso won his tackle in that clip. Yep, agreed. And Michael Bilicki says, they're lucky that Lamella wasn't on the pitch. He'd show him some real tackles. Where's HG when you need him?
Well, this is it. See, that game, we were saying it during the match, you're just crying out for Lamella, a Lamella sub, wasn't it, at half time or something like that. They would have had even less opportunities on goal if Lamella had been there snapping at their heels on the halfway line. Michael
Robinson says, can Jose win Manager of the Month or Manager of the Mouth this November? He definitely wins Manager of the Mouth. Definitely, because he just comes out with 2 crackers. There's no reason why he can't win Manager of the Month for me. I don't think there's any team better in form, is there?
No, I mean, we've beaten Brighton, West Brom, City. If we win at the weekend, then yeah, I can see him getting it. Definitely, if we beat Chelsea, beating 2 of our rivals.
Dean Flintoff says, and this is a good question, any news about Sonny's contract extension? I've heard nothing. Have you guys?
No, but he has been out of the country, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, the international break won't have helped, but there's plenty of talk that his representatives are dealing with the club. There's absolutely no way that he won't be signed to a new contract. He seems more than happy. Him and Kane are absolutely smashing it this season. I think, if anything, that's probably it. He's just like, look at these goals I'm scoring. Maybe I can have another 10 grand.
He's probably, the longer the contractual negotiations go on, the stronger his position gets right now.
Yeah.
Simon Rylander wondered how long it would take the caller to start playing the "I knew this would happen last season" blah blah blah. Who had 7 minutes in the sweepstake? Well, I always bet on myself. That's what I would say. Who else have we got here? Tony Coolback. This is an interesting question. Would we take Ericsson back in January? For me, it's a no. Don't go back on an ex that dumped you. Well, I mean, I would say, and I have to play the HG card here because I know that if he were here, he would say Ericsson didn't really dump Spurs. He just wanted to try something different. I mean, that is similar to dumping Spurs, but I don't think I think his point would be he never let Spurs down, really. And he didn't go on strike. You're shaking your head, Seb, so go on. Come on. Tell me I'm wrong.
We sat here. I sat at this table doing pods, watching another anemic, spineless Ericsson performance at the start of last season. He was god awful, and
they all were.
Look, no. Listen, fans aren't stupid, right? You're not stupid. Anyone in that stadium last season isn't stupid. You know when a player is playing at 75%. It is obvious. Yeah. Now, it might have been that he didn't want to get injured. It might have been, there was rumours of personal problems. I don't believe that. But there was something going on where you could tell he was not giving it his all. Yeah, there was still assists. There was still nice, neat passes. But it's really apparent to anyone who watches football when a player is not at 100%.
Was it not more about Vertonghen smashing his misses?
I don't believe that. I don't believe he came out himself, didn't he? And said it was bollocks. I went to the game at Southampton, and they walked off arm in arm. The pair of them. They walked off with their arm.
I'm playing. Don't rise to it.
But that's what gets fans. These players, they can't get away from the fact they're paid a lot of money. They're doing something that we would give our right bollock to do. 100%, and he's not putting it in. And for me, you don't come back from that. He thought the grass was greener. I wouldn't have signed for Conte. And then the rumour was that Conte didn't want him anyway. Well, that's been apparent. He's barely played him. No, not at all. He want a lot of money. There is. I don't really feel like we need anyone in January, to be honest. But certainly Ericsson.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Seb, if I'm honest. It's just that thing, isn't it, where if he'd have left and he was still being top quality up until the last game, then you probably would have had some fonder memories of him. But it's that weird thing where it does feel a bit tarnished, even though he was absolutely fantastic for us for numerous seasons. And he was like, still got the most,
isn't he? He's a very talented player.
He's still got the most number of assists, I think, in the league for us, or something like that. It's he did great things for us, but he just wasn't that great at the end, and now things have gone sour for him in Italy. He's kind of like thinking, well, maybe I would, but we don't need him. I think that's it. We've got Dombele. We've got to put our faith in him. What message would it send to players like Dombele and Lo Celso if we got Ericsson back? Just don't need him.
Well, the long and short of it is, I don't think he'd get in the team. Where would he fit right now? He doesn't fit. Ultimately, we've got the positions and the strength in depth covered. So I think for me, it's a no, but for different reasons. I mean, he is a great player. He's a world-class player. And as you rightly point out, he has probably got the assist record for Spurs. But we don't need him right now, and he doesn't fit. That's the thing for me. He just doesn't fit.
Jose wants his midfielders to do everything. They have to be able to do everything. They have to cover the ground like nobody's covered the ground. Højbjerg is everywhere. Sissoko is everywhere. And Ndombele can be everywhere for about 60 minutes at the moment, 65 minutes. Right? But then he brings on Lo Celso. Skip. When he comes back, I watched a bit of Skip at Norwich. He is everywhere. He's getting raised because he's so mobile around the pitch. That's not Ericsson. He does not fit in, and it's not Dele Alli, so he doesn't fit in. They have to
we'll
be.
come to that. We'll come to that in a minute. That's another thing. In fact, we'll come to it now because James Helser says sell Dele and Winks both? Question mark. Seb, continue your rant, and then I'll come to you, Franco, because I know you've got something to say. Would you sell them both or one?
I'd sell one. I'd probably sell Dele Alli. Harry Winks, lucky for him, is homegrown for the European quota. And things are going to change, I think, in the next 18 months with regards to EU and things like that. Probably need to hang on to Winks. But as I alluded to, and I've said it many times on the pod, Dele Alli now does not fit in with this team. And I guarantee you, we see it on Thursday. Dele Alli will more than likely play or start, and the shape will change. The shape of the team will change. And it's not even Dele Alli's fault, but the shape of the team will adjust, and it won't be a positive thing. He takes up the wrong spaces on the pitch for what Jose wants to do. And that's the biggest problem. And the only times this season we've lost, Dele Alli started those games.
Yeah, and in terms of Winks, I just think we haven't got enough players that can play in that deep central position. So if we got rid of a few injuries, we'd be in trouble. And so, sell him if we were going to replace him. But like Seb said, the English quota thing does count for something. And if we got rid of him and Dele, and plus also, I just think Dele's worth more money still, isn't he? So it's just like, which would you rather? Winks still has a position in the team. Jose still got some faith in him to play. So yeah, I can't see Winks leaving. I really can't.
Do you see Winks has a long-term future with us then, Franco? Do you think he'll be there past the summer? Because there was this rumour last summer. I know we jokingly sort of spoke about it on the pod. Man City were interested in him. There would no doubt be interest in a homegrown England international, I'm sure. Do you think we keep him beyond the summer? Do you see his future away from Spurs?
Similarly to Kane, though, he's a Tottenham boy, isn't he? I think there's a definite attachment with Winks, and the fact that he is a Spurs fan. You can debate whether Kane really is a Spurs fan, but Winks definitely is. So it's similar to a lot of the other players that have come through the academy. They don't want to leave, and I think as long as Jose's got faith in him to be a squad player, then I can't see why not. The only thing is those comments you mentioned in a previous pod about him maybe wanting to play more regularly, but he needs to understand where he is in the pecking order, unfortunately. He'll get games this year. I can still see him playing at least like 10, 15 games in the league this year, plus all of the Europas. So that should be enough for him, to be honest. But it's that thing where he's now sort of approaching his mid-20s, and you would kind of hope that he would have developed a bit more by now. And similar to what Seb said, I think that Skip is going to be a much better player. I think he got man of the match again at the weekend. He's absolutely smashing it. So next year when he comes back, you don't know, dear. It could be difficult because we might sign another midfielder with some of the qualities that are lacking. Sissoko is not going to have too many more seasons in him. So there's going to need to be change in that centre midfield spot. Højbjerg will be the ever-present, and then we can just get some, mix some things up around. So I can't really say that he's going to be here forever, but I imagine he'll be here for at least another season. He won't want to leave.
Okay.
People who know me know that I like Football Manager, and there's a new version come out, and I'm already into my second season at Spurs. Funnily enough, I still have Dele Alli, but I sold Harry Winks, and what I was able to do was sell some of the kind of homegrown players, because I replaced them with Skip, Sessegnon, and Troy Parrott, who all fall under the homegrown thing. So that's a consideration for next summer, is that those players come back and they've progressed enough to be included in the first team squad. Then, and obviously you've got Jack Clark and you've got some other youngsters. People are raving about this Dane Scarlett. I don't know if you saw the result at the weekend. I think it was the under-19s, beat Southampton 7-0, and Scarlett got 4. So, there's youth coming through that can replace that homegrown quota. So I think at least one of Ali and Winks, to go back to the original question, will be gone by the summer.
No, I agree. It's a shame if Dele does go, because I do, despite all his antics, I do think he's an incredibly talented player and someone who would hurt us if we ever played us. You can just see that if that ever happened. I know that's been said before. Harry Young, this is more a statement again, but I think it's worth picking up. We're screwed if Kane or Son gets injured. Seb, are we?
I want to say no, but Harry Kane is the best player in the Premier League. He's in the top 5 players in the world. So if you lose that, you lose. He's not irreplaceable because another player will come in to take his position. It's not like last season when we literally run out of options. Everyone was on the treatment table.
I nearly got a game.
Yeah, you're losing one of the best 5 players in the world, and in Son, they've just got such good football intelligence between them that you lose that connection as well if one of them's out. So we would miss them. We wouldn't be the same. But Jose finds answers, so he'd find a way.
Franco, screwed.
It's going to be a lot harder, isn't it? I mean, but the thing is, you look at that's basically like saying if Liverpool had Mane and Salah out, they wouldn't score any goals. Exactly. They'd have Shaqiri or someone replacing him. So at least we've got Bergwijn, you've got Bale. There's options, and Vinicius, he might step up and just become some Brazilian sensation. But yeah, of course, if you take 2 of the best players in the league out of a team, they're going to struggle to get goals. And that's I think the worry this season is that they're so pivotal. They've scored, look at the goals and assists, 9 each, as many as Arsenal. Then they're obviously going to be very important to the way we win football matches. So it might be an issue, but might just mean that Bale has to get up to speed. Bale might start banging them in soon. There's a lot more promise in this team. If it happened last year, I would have been a lot more worried. But I think now we're in a slightly better position.
Good. I would just say that exactly the same as you. You can't replace world-class talent like that. Ultimately, if one of them goes down, it's going to be tough. If both of them went down like it did last season, it's a freak, isn't it? Although if they both went down again, it would have to be a little bit more than a freak coincidence. HG, hello HG.
Can I ask a question? And it's funny that you just said HG because
are you asking me or are you asking him?
I'm asking both of you about something that me and HG were debating last night. Because there was a chat that was the worst Spurs signings of all time, and HG said that Lamela would be in his worst 5 Tottenham signings. Now, for me, my report was that he is closer to the top 100 signings Spurs have made in the last 20 years, even the top 50 signings Spurs have made in the last 20 years, than in the worst 5 signings of all time. And I just wondered what your thoughts, guys, were on that.
Well, I mean, I like Lamela. So you're going to get agreement from me, Seb, because look, is he the player that we thought we were signing when we bought him? No, is the honest truth. I mean, I was led to believe he was like this mazy winger who could take on people, slalom through and slam it in the net. And he was signed almost, he had this moniker as a Bale replacement, which, is really unfair when Bale was probably like in the top 2 players in the world certainly top 3 when Madrid signed him. So I think a lot of Lamela's hate has come from the price tag that was attached to him at the time and the fact that the person who he was replacing was Gareth Bale. And unfortunately, who could replace Gareth Bale at that moment in time? No one. Now, has he gone on to be a real loyal servant to the club who gives everything 100% all of the time and is good for the team? Absolutely. There's no way you can put him in the bottom 5 signings, in my opinion. No way. Whether he's in the top 50 or the top 500, I don't. That's another case altogether. But he's absolutely not one of the worst players we've signed in the Premier League era. There are many, many, many worse problems than Lamela. And I can tell you this: a lot of teams in the Premier League would love to have Lamela on their squad.
Yeah, Franco.
No, I'd agree. You've got players like, Dumitrescu, Asimovic, even players like Jonathan Blondell, who was hyped to be amazing and never turned out to be anything. Like, you could literally go on with Spurs. We've made so many bad signings. Even I think you were arguing Bentley definitely, because we paid a load of money for him. He never played. Like, he scored one great goal that he'll be remembered for, but just nothing. At least Lamela has consistently contributed to the team. I think HG is obsessed with him being an attacking player. Like the caller said, we're expecting goals from him, and he hasn't delivered that. He's got flaws, but you can't fault his contribution. I almost feel like he adapted his game to the Premier League and became sort of a dogged, hard-working midfielder. And there's, in certain situations, he's exactly what we need. So he's definitely not one of the worst signings. No way is he one of the top 5.
Talking earlier of Shakira, his hips do lie, Lamela. He's got the worst hips ever. He's had major injuries. He's had 2 long-term injuries. Just to put it into context, 230 games for Spurs over 7 and a bit seasons. He's out of those 7 seasons, he's played 30 times, at least 30 times, 5 out of those 7 seasons. So he makes himself available, as we saw in the Amazon documentary. He wants to play. He will run through a brick wall to get onto that pitch, whether he's got a niggle or not. And he has adapted. I know you said he's adapted his game to the Premier League. He's had to adapt his game because those injuries have slowed him down so much. So he has done everything that he can do in terms of physicality to be that, as we often term it on the pod, that shithouse. That's what he's added to his game, because he's not that nifty winger who can skin an opponent, get round and knock a ball in. We all know he hangs on to it too long. Yeah. But that's a downside. But for me, if we were doing that stadium thing now, where the players walk out at the end of White Hart Lane, and you're asking for your Simon Davis and people like that who all walked out, Lamela is in that bracket. He's given everything over 7.5 years.
Yeah, so and you got, again, I'm just going to name some more players: Postiga, Andy Booth, Raziak. Come on.
Oh, God.
He's just commented. You guys are mad. 70 million on the Lamela, which, by the way, it wasn't. For effort as a squad player, by any metric, that's a bad signing. 7 million maybe, 70 million for no. Just for the record, we didn't pay 70 million for Lamela.
He's talking about his transfer fee, his wages as well.
He's inflation adjusted it, but based on no other science than that's what he thinks.
No, he's talking about his wages as well.
Oh, okay, right, I'm with you.
Probably.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to waste any more time talking about HG. You want to discuss it? Come on the show. We'll talk about it. Daniel Harrison says, do you think Jose plays mental games with the opposition? For example, playing Bovine versus City. Maybe Dele will play versus Chelsea. No, yes, but no to that extent. Dele's nowhere near the first team right now. Franco, you agreeing?
No, I think he's taken up a career in cricket from what I've seen today. But no, he won't be playing against Chelsea. He will almost certainly start against Ludogorets midweek, but I just can't see it. The thing is, he's not even getting on the bench these days, so it just doesn't look good for him. The fact that he's still keeping relatively upbeat about things is a good sign, I suppose. And I'm assuming that Jose is talking to him. I'd love another All or Nothing documentary so we could see like what the conversations are. I'm hoping that Jose's given him some things that he needs to improve on, and he's giving him a chance. But seriously, it looks ominous. It looks like he could be gone. If not in the winter transfer window, then he could be gone next summer. It's looking that bad.
Okay, a couple more points because we've still got loads to get through, and I know the night is short for you guys, so I will just try and wrap these up as fast as possible. Dean Britton, I'm one of those who said we shouldn't bring Bale back. I hope I'm wrong, but can't see him making any impact. Seb, from you, is he going to make any impact?
Oh yeah, the season's young. There's plenty of opportunity. And Bale, what we need to realise is Bale has been brought back to be a member of the squad. Bale hasn't been brought back to be the marquee signing, the superstar. Yeah, he might be on a bit of money because we're covering his wages at Madrid, but he's part of that squad. And if you see him, he is loving life, right? He is loving being back at Spurs, and he's got that winning mentality. He's been there, done it all. He's a Spurs boy. There's plenty of time. He's had that impact against Brighton. There's plenty of time for him to make an impact. But he's not going to be a star player. He's not going to be out on that pitch every week tearing it up. He's part of that squad. He's another option, and that's what Jose wants. He said many times now he's got more answers this season. He's got answers within his squad.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Franco, you nodding in agreement? I guess you.
Yeah, I've not got much else to say. I mean, it's a bit disappointing that Bale made a comment the other week about how he was hoping to be hitting top form at the end of the season in time for the Euros. I think we need him to be hitting better form than that a lot sooner, if I'm honest, because he does need to contribute.
Yeah. Okay. Simon Rylander says, "Don't you think we need to buy a goalkeeper next year? Hugo has limited seasons left." Likewise with Hart, I don't really get that. I mean, how old's Hugo? Is he like 33?
33, 34. Yeah, I think he's going to be 34 in the summer.
He'd go on till he's 36 easy, would he?
Yeah, I would say so. He still seems like he's absolutely fine, to be honest. And you know, look at Uncle Brad. He was like 56 or something by the time he left. So
he looked 56 his whole career. That's the thing with Uncle Brad.
Hugo's been immense since lockdown. He's been brilliant. Yeah. And you look, I guess, as a coach, you're looking for signs of decline.
I think it's since he messed his arm up, Seb. Actually,
yeah. I can't see Hugo in any state of decline since he's come back. Maybe before I was getting a little bit worried, but since he's come back, he's been phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's 34. Isn't his birthday around Christmas? He's like, Boxing Day or something like that, wasn't it? As far as I remember. But so he'd be 34 this season. But age is but a number. You know, you think I was 25 from looking at me. So when I'm really 53. So
add a 0 on, and you might have, a case.
He still looks fine. That's the point. He's like, he's quite sprightly. But yeah, Joe Hart. He's as a backup. He's not the sort of person that you would see him being our goalkeeper for the next 10 years either. So we do need someone younger coming through. It's just whether any of the reserve goalies are going to step up. I think Gazaniga will be out. I don't think they've got faith in him. So really, we need someone young.
Jack Butland, maybe.
Well, yeah, there are plenty of decent younger goalkeepers at different clubs in the Premier League who have got Premier League experience.
Yeah,
I wouldn't necessarily say Jack.
I signed him on Football Manager. He's been quality for me. I've got to be honest, Sam.
Right. Obviously, I live in the Stoke area. I think he's gone to Palace, hasn't he? Anyway, but he's been awful. Absolutely, he's one of the worst players in the Championship. He's absolutely terrible.
England keeper.
Not Jack Butland.
All right, who would you have then?
Well, before he went to Fulham, I quite like the look of I can't say his name because it sounds like a nipple. Areola.
No, do it. You've been saying everyone else's name wrong. Crack on.
There's a lad, Areola at Fulham, who before he went to Fulham looked half decent. Obviously, you're going to get battered as a Fulham goalkeeper, so no one goes to Fulham as a keeper and ends up looking good. But I had my eye on him. And then there's a certain keeper in Milan who I think is out of contract in the summer. Donnarumma, yeah. So he feels love.
Yeah, I was going to say Darlow looks like a nice, good young goalkeeper at Newcastle, but he's 30. There's the problem with these goalkeepers. A lot of them don't get a chance until they're in the mid-20s. So you just get this false perception that they're still quite young, but he's 30.
Right, important point. Better late than never. HG is here.
Here he is. We're not talking about Lamella anymore.
Oh, well, yeah, good, because you stopped talking nonsense then, haven't you? All of you. I'm sorry, like people like Asimovic were
Whoa. Stop.
Hang on a second.
No, I've got to ask you a question.
Go on.
Where's your beard gone?
Well, it's lockdown, isn't it? So you can do what you want. My daughter did it. She had great fun doing it. And she also did the back of my head, which I won't show you.
I've seen it. I've seen it on Facebook. It's legendary.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We've done our best with it. But when you're losing your hair anyway, it doesn't really matter.
You can continue your rant now. I just wanted to clarify.
I was going to say, HG's been watching The Crown. He's obviously not enjoyed it, so he's come on all riled up.
Yeah, he's fine.
No, I'm riled up because I had to listen to you three talk nonsense for 20 minutes. Unbelievable. Like, Parker doesn't know the difference between less and fewer, less opportunities. What are you talking about? Come on. Madness. The thing with Lamella is that, yeah, like, unfortunately, his price tag means a lot. You spend that money in what, 2013 for someone, and all they do is basically be a squad player because you can't get rid of him. He's never been first choice apart from one season, and at the end, yeah, like, what are we going to get for him? A bag of chips? Like, don't get me wrong, he has his uses, but it's not a good signing. Considering what you could have bought with that money back in 2013, it's not been a good signing. Everyone else that you listed was like, I mean, the guy, I think, I don't know his name, but someone wrote down a whole bunch of people like Kevin Scott, awful player. And yeah, 750 grand he cost in the mid 90s was a decent amount of money. But like Dumitrescu was a decent player. It just didn't work out. Asimovic was free. Like, you talk about Bunjacevic, he was also bad, but he was free. The £26 million matters in this. Because if you're going to say that Bentley cost a lot of money and did very little, I don't see much difference personally. Like, I think Bentley's the worst signing we've ever made, but like Lamella, to me, what have we got from him apart from energy? Like, when Caller was defending him, it sounded like everything that everyone else thinks is bad with him. Like, oh well, he runs around a lot. Yeah, well, great, we know that. All the players run around a lot. Ericsson runs around a lot. The difference is that Ericsson didn't get yellow cards.
HG.
Yeah, okay. If your argument is value for money, then that is a slightly different argument. But I get what you're saying.
It's part of it. It's got to be part of it. You can't just say the worst players are therefore the worst signings, because if they didn't cost you anything, then that lessens the how bad they were as a signing. If I don't know. Say that you don't think so.
No, I think there is an argument there. But if you were just literally saying who are the worst signings we've ever made, then if you're looking for a player to be part of the first 11 and they're terrible, then I think there's also an argument for that. But worst value for money is probably up there. You're right, because that's
like if you think of the 7 players we bought, Paulinho was a terrible signing, but again we got 10 million when we sold him. So same with Soldado, we got a lot of that money back through loans. Same with Janssen, we still got some money back. Unfortunately, with Lamella, we're just spending on someone that is no better than a squad player. That's what he is.
If we sell him for 25 million, does that make him better?
It would change it. Absolutely, of course it would.
Levy's got his work cut out.
Because you'd get something back for it. Like, people can talk about Wimmer. Wimmer was a decent signing because
hang on, HG. Seb wants to say something.
Your argument's flawed just because we haven't sold it.
Because I don't agree with you?
No, because you're saying that we got money back on the other signings, on the other 7, so that negates their argument. But because Lamella's still at the club and still putting the effort in and still contributing to a Tottenham squad,
contributing in what way? Europa League and Carling Cup. That's what he is.
He played in the Premier League a lot last season, HG.
No, he didn't.
Squad player. He's a very good squad.
Most of his, I feel like at least a third, if not more. If you take out that one season when he was first choice, and he was only first choice because Son was injured for most of that season, right? That you take away that season, he's only ever been a sub. So you can talk about, he has 30 appearances every year. Well, great. I mean, as a sub, it doesn't mean anything.
Let me just interrupt. HG, you can continue. You can have all the time you want in a minute. I know you want to talk about it. It's fine.
Just
but Seb,
25 million.
Hang on. Seb has got to drop off the car, so he's got to go. And before he does, he's got a very valuable message from our sponsors. So Seb, over to you.
I have indeed. Sorry to cut you off mid-flow, HG. I can tell you this means a lot to you. Just a quick message from our partners at Football Prizes. The Jan Vertonghen prize, I think, has gone and has sold. However, they have listed up some fantastic prizes starting today. There is a Tanguy Ndombele signed and framed shirt. There is a Paul Gascoigne signed shirt from England shirt from the World Cup. There is a chance to win junior Spurs home and away shirts, as well as a goal Panini football pack. They're doing so many great prizes at the moment. It's well worth checking out. Go to footballprizes.co.uk, and due to our partnership with them, you can use the code 10cheese. That's 10cheese, and you get 10% off all your ticket entries. That's for every prize that you enter.
And I would just like to say that, and thanks for that, Seb. That's great. Eric Lamela played 25 times in the Premier League last season. I don't think that's a bad return. Thanks very much.
How many were substitute appearances? He didn't
Seb,
start
go.
those games.
Seb,
He didn't start
Here's
those games.
bailing on us.
he's
Yeah,
gone.
he didn't start those games, Owen. You know he didn't. It's like 25 appearances. Yeah, like like I've been to see my in-laws a number of times, but doesn't mean I've actually done anything. It means
Yeah,
nothing. It means
He
nothing.
started 12 times last season.
Yeah, 12 out of 25. So yeah, not even half. And considering how many games did we have both Son and Kane injured?
I mean,
That would
look,
up
you
the
know,
amount
you
that-
know my view on Lamela. I don't think he's as bad as you're making out. I suppose is the
No, he's completely limited as a footballer. There's no doubt about that. He's only got one leg. He runs around a lot. He holds the ball too long. All of those things that you mentioned yourself when you were defending him. And for the equivalent of what, 50, 60 million in today's money, that's a bad signing. There's no way around it.
Yeah. Well, that's your view. I think the one thing I would say is every manager seems to quite like him. Pochettino likes him. I think Mourinho likes him. You saw in the documentary, he liked him, and I think he's a bit of a good go-to guy because you know what you're going to get with him. He's predictable. I suppose my point is the question was: would he be in my worst signings of Tottenham Hotspur in the modern Premier League era? Absolutely not. Would be my response.
Yeah, and for me, because of the money, absolutely. Like Sanchez is up there too. Don't get me wrong. Sanchez is probably worse than Lamela. It's just, when you spend that money, you expect some return. And I would expect more than substitute appearances or games in lesser competitions. And that is really what Lamela gives you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think that Arsenal fans like Pepe because he costs 70 odd million and runs around a bit. Like it just seems like such a crazy thing that, if you want to pay someone to run around a bit, you sign a long distance runner.
I mean, they have to be
decent at football.
There's a little bit of me that says a lot of this is in the definition of how you define worst signing.
Anyway.
You could talk about Soldado. I mean, people do, and I liked Bobby. I thought he was, but I liked him because he gave everything, and that's the same reason I like Lamela. Doesn't mean he didn't actually deliver anything for Spurs, because when it comes down to it, his goal return was appalling. And that's what he was signed to do. So, I can see on the comments people are coming up there. I'm going to read you a couple of comments. I'm going to read you a couple of comments so you can respond to them, HG, because I know you are. You must have had your Weetabix for tea this evening, because you are fired up like you would believe.
He's on holiday.
Watching The Crown makes me angry. I mean, who are these idiots?
It's fiction.
Bloody. Yeah, it's not though, is it? Really? That's the sad part. It should be.
Well, no one's got any mics inside. I don't watch it, so I don't know. What do I know? I'm not even going to get drawn on that one. So Martin Heiser says Bentley is the worst signing? ? Soldado was 26 million. Lamela was 30 million. But who was the better signing?
I think Bentley was worse because we gave 7 million to Arsenal.
Well, I think what
he's
asking is who's the worst signing out of Soldado and Lamela?
Out of those two?
Yeah.
They're both equally bad. I mean, the difference with the difference with Soldado is we realised we had a dud and sold him on. Right, and I take your point that Pochettino likes him and Mourinho likes him. Yeah, he's a fantastic squad player, but you shouldn't pay the equivalent of 55, 60 million in today's money for a squad player, for someone who's a squad player and sadly it doesn't do much. Like you could say we did the same with Lucas and Bergwijn. They're right now they're squad players. But the
only thing I think is that Lamela was widely tipped at the time. Like he was talked about a lot as the next big up and coming thing in Italy. His form was very good.
I understand why we bought him, but that doesn't excuse that it's been a bad signing.
Moving past that, Michael Bilicki says, "Hello, Globetrotter. You are clueless. What is this nonsense with today's money? There is no such thing."
This is the guy who doesn't like the word cheesehead, if memory serves me right.
I'm just gonna mute you there before you do any more damage to our fan base. Dave Bolton, I have literally just tuned in and I didn't have to think too hard about HG, who HG was ranting about.
I like this question.
I dislike misinformation. That's why I came on.
I like this question from Raab Jabori Al Sheikh. He says,
Go.
Chelsea, well, it's not really a question. He's made a statement. Chelsea away will be the hardest game for Spurs this season, even harder than Liverpool away. What do you think of that, HG?
Given the fact that obviously it's the next game and Chelsea don't really have any injuries, and like I think it was even Delhi that came out and said that like Chelsea is the rivalry game as far as the players are concerned, right? And so like there is a massive, and we seem
Which
to play
there's a
them a lot
lovely
around.
underlying statement in as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean the underlying statement is that like Arsenal aren't our level anymore and Chelsea are, which is clear. We look at the table; it's patently true. Yeah, like I mean, like it's like I don't hate Chelsea as much as most Spurs fans. I dislike the fact that they seem to hate us so much. But yeah, like it's going to be a difficult game, and we play Liverpool away in 3 weeks. They'll obviously be without a few of their players, so you'd have to think that it is going to be the most difficult game of the season, depending on City and when we play them, they might be focusing on the Champions League. But this is a title 6-pointer. There's no doubt about it.
Very good. A couple more, and then I think you need to go, Franco. You got some plants to water or something? I thought you were tight on time this evening or something.
No, not really. Just get tired listening to you.
I mean, that's beautiful in itself, isn't it? Listen to the camaraderie. Martin Heiser says rubbish. Bobby was a car crash. By the time he was sold, his confidence was on the floor. I'd agree with that. His confidence.
The thing about
shattered.
Bobby, I can't remember who it was against, but it was in the Europa League, and there was a chance where he went 1-on-1, and he literally was like on his own in the opposition half, clean through, running 1-on-1, and he completely fluffed it. And at that point, you were just like, "There's no coming back for him. There's just nothing."
I think it was Fiorentina away.
I think that was it. It was just like, no. He's shot.
Yeah, again, like bad signing, certainly up in the top 5. I mean, that's the point. Like, I didn't say he was the worst signing ever, Lamela. I just think that if you add the financial side to it, which I would,
got it,
because
he's in your top 5. I've got it.
Around that. It's just that I'm not basing it just on player ability, which it seems that everyone else is.
Well, Seb Short considering he had to go, he's had time to drop a comment in there. So maybe he's still watching. He's put either that or he was just like, this is like the mic drop as he ran out of the room. Lamella, 230 games, 35 goals. Players got on the pitch for the last day of White Hart Lane for a lot less. Tottenham legend.
It was because we were just scraping whoever was around, wasn't it? Who can turn up? Simon Davies is up for it. He'll turn up.
Yeah, quite. So if you put a low bar, then Lamella clears it. Absolutely.
Well, I'm changing.
Ricondo Hollis says hello. So hello, Ricondo. Just quickly get that one in. And Lorraine Ward.
Hello, Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
Where's my hand? There it is.
Changing the subject completely. Colin Edwards, I've listened to quite a few podcasts and none of you look like I expected. I know, Colin, much better looking than you expected. All of us, clearly.
As we say, there's a reason why we do a podcast and not YouTube videos very often.
We're not 21 young, hung, and no. Daniel Harrison says, and this is a question for you two, because I've got to be honest, this has gone on longer than I thought it would, and I desperately need to go for it to visit the little boys' room, so I'm going to take a comfort break. Daniel Harrison says, do you think Sissoko is undroppable at the moment? Can I just firstly say, from my 2 penneth worth, I would have thought that unthinkable not too long ago. Absolutely, that would even be considered. You two have a little discussion between you.
I think so. I mean, I don't know, actually. We kind of talked about him being this box-to-box player, but over the last couple of seasons, he's shown himself to be a really capable CDM, hasn't he? And I think when you put him and Højbjerg together at the weekend, their attributes just really complemented the game plan, didn't they?
If you're looking for someone who's athletic, who is quite comfortable to just sit and almost go from side to side, like he covers other mistakes. And let's be honest, like the ball doesn't go through Sissoko, right? Like we don't ask him to pass the ball really. Like I mean, the goal, the brilliant goal we almost scored at the weekend, Sissoko's part in that was laying it 5 yards back to Højbjerg. I mean, like, but again, like that you understand what you're getting. Do I think that we could find someone else to do that? Yes, I do. But given the fact we've got Chelsea, yeah, he'll start that game. The Arsenal game, you'd expect him to start because it's a winning team, and certainly the midfield, you don't see much reason to really change things around. But I don't like undroppable because we're winning rather than because he's fantastic, if that makes sense.
Well, and because of lack of alternative options, isn't it? I know, we said Jedson is probably the only similar player to him, and then you've got Winks, but that's it in the midfield, isn't it? Really, there's not a huge amount of what else we can do apart from doing things like dropping Dombele back. And the thing is, even at the weekend, Dombele was the one player who I was watching on the field going, he's not giving quite as much as everybody else in terms of a defensive shift as he just every now and then he just kind of switches off, and you think, yeah, he's not up to it.
I think possibly because he knows he's got the two behind him. I mean, this is it. Like if Sissoko was out injured, then I would probably end up just moving people around. So Højbjerg would go from the left to the right hand side, and then maybe Dombele would go back. Maybe Winks would come in, and then Celso would come in. One of those two. But like I think the system is pretty set, and so in that for that reason, then Sissoko is obviously he's there to stay. But like undroppable. I mean, like he didn't play the first. I think he didn't start the first 3 games. He came in for the Man United game, and so since then, the West Ham game he started, we didn't win that, but he's been part of the successful team. So we've got to we've got to admit that it's going well.
Yeah,
Colin.
interesting points from Martin Heiser. He's saying, first of all, he said, I heard Everton are looking at Sanchez, and I can't believe that because their defence is looking all right this year, so I don't think they want to make it worse. And how many players came back and were successful? I'll give you Defoe and Sherry. It's quite a rare thing, isn't it? I can only really think of Keane, and he did all right. Well, Bale, on loan. But the thing is, I mean, Sheringham, was probably like a 1 goal in 3 when he came back, and he was about 50 years old at that point. So he did pretty well, to be honest. I was so uninterested in him coming back because I was just like, he's gone to Man United, won things. Now he looks like he's past it. But where did he go after us? West Ham? Didn't he go for a few years?
Yeah, he went
Portsmouth.
somewhere.
West Ham.
Portsmouth as well. He
was
had a long
38
career.
when he hung up his not hung up his boots, but stopped playing Premier League football. He was 40 when he finished.
Yeah, I think he played till he was 40. He still looks younger than you, Caller, to be honest.
I mean, most people do, really. But the thing is, I've got this condition called being
bullshit typhus.
No,
I want to look like Ronnie Barker.
No, I don't even know who he is. It's before my time. No, it's a condition basically whereby I look old when I'm quite young, but I look the same for many, many, many years. And I've actually been told this. People have sort of said to me, "Christ, you look the same as you did 10 years ago." I'm like, well, winning, because I'm going to still look this good, when I'm 60, and you two are fucked.
Right, have we got any more questions? It seems to have gone a bit quiet. I'm just looking through them now.
Has got a bit quiet. John Hannon, behind the headlines, the financials look very encouraging. Football match day, almost double per match. Future looking very bright.
We're going to have a pod. Mr. Steve Diver, our resident accountant, I was chatting with him today, and he said, shall we do a special pod on the weekend? And I said, Steve, just you and me will do a special pod, mostly because I think people will get bored and turn off. So it's going to be very limited niche appeal.
I mean, I hope this pod's about 2 minutes long because there's less colour there than a West Ham training session.
But not everybody's got the attention of a 5-year-old like you, Caller. So some people will be interested. We might have a record low amount of listens to it. But if you're interested in club finances from an accountant, I'm not selling it, am I?
No, you're not. No. What I would say is, I think oh no, I'm fizzing over here. Jesus. They'll get a good tax write-off, so the numbers will be better than you expect next year.
Oh, here's one from Tony Cormack we missed. Shout out to Joe Hart wearing Clement's number 1 on the weekend. He's really bringing a positive influence off the pitch to this squad. Maybe another key part to rebuilding the team culture both on and on the pitch. What do you think about that, HG?
I've been impressed with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. Like Joe Hart, for whatever you might want to say about his actual ability over the last few years, I think we've all known when he was England keeper just how vocal he was, and so like he's not. I mean, I feel like every goal he's conceded this season has been a worldie. I mean, the goal that the guy from Haifa scored, that was 35, 40 yards right in the top corner, and another one away in one of the other qualifying games. So like he's doing what we want him to do, and like we're not sitting here pining for Gazaniga to play those games. So there's another foreigner that might go in January that could open up a spot for someone else. I'd also say like I don't think we should take Ericsson back either, because there's no need. And to be fair to Ericsson, like I still think as Spurs fans, what we need to focus on is the fact that he left 6 months before he could have gone on a free, and he got the club 20 million euros, which he didn't have to do. And so, like, say what you want about his, his ability or how he approached the last few years. I think it was clear he told the club he wanted to go. He wasn't going to sign a new deal. The club dragged their heels, kind of brought a little bit on themselves, and despite that, he still left when it would have been financially better for him not to. I mean, that I think that's a key point. So, I think it's more of a shame that it hasn't worked out for him in Inter. But where he goes next, his options are going to be even more limited because Inter will want a fee. So even if he doesn't come to us, who's going to spend the money that Inter might want? I mean, it's going to be a weird. He's had a bad run of luck as far as I'm concerned, and I think Spurs fans probably deserve to show him a bit more credit than this.
Oh, absolutely.
He wanted to leave.
I don't understand the hate for the guy, to be honest, because he gave a lot of his career to us, was a fantastic player for us, didn't walk out for nothing, didn't ship off out to a rival or anything like that when he could have done it. If he'd have run his contract, then he could have done a gamble. Never did any of that.
It's almost a shame for him that he didn't have someone, like a reserve behind him, because we saw what happened with Walker when Walker said, "Hey, look, I want out." Because we had Trippier, Pochettino was like, "Fine, off you go, like be gone." But with Ericsson, because we didn't have that replacement, Poch couldn't act that way. And I suspect it was probably similar to what happened with Danny Rose, that Pochettino didn't force him out after that interview because he knew that he was so important for the style that we were playing at the time. The same is true of Ericsson. It's sad, but I've said this many times on the pod. Like football players who were born in the early 90s, like Ericsson was, they didn't grow up seeing Tottenham as a force.
No.
They didn't want to play their entire career at Spurs. I mean, to be fair, I think that's even true of people who have been at Spurs for a number of years now.
One other thing I just need to shout out, it's Jack Clark's birthday today, 2 hours left of the day, but Jack Clark is 20 years old, no longer a teenager. And I posted on Twitter today that I really want him to get some game time on Thursday, because let's be honest, this game at home to Ludogorets, they're probably the worst team we're going to play apart from Arsenal this season. So I'd really like to see him play on Thursday. What do you reckon, Caller?
Absolutely. Jack Clark is when he came on last, I just wanted to see what he could do. I just wanted him to get the ball and run with it, have a go, which he did have an absolute crack at it, didn't he? Shame it went in row Z. But I like the look of the lad. From what I've seen of him in pre-season, the flashes I've seen, which isn't a lot, and when he used to play for Leeds, he looks like an exciting prospect. And I hope he gets minutes. Do I think he will? Absolutely not. I think that what you're saying is going to fall on deaf Mourinho ears. Can't see it in a million years.
I don't see him making the bench. No, I don't.
No, I don't either. But I wish him well, and I wish he would, because I think it'd be good to see him and good for his development. And I think we'd still beat them comfortably. I think that is pretty much all we have time for now. So I just want to say thanks very much for joining me, gents. I mean, HG, what I like about this broadcast has been the fact that you were almost shaking with rage when you came on. Ready?
You were misrepresenting my views on almost every subject. Like, if HG was here, he would say this, and I'm watching it thinking, no, do you listen to a word I say?
Well, obviously not.
Not really.
Of course he doesn't.
One ear and out the other, Yeah. But thanks for coming on anyway, and sending
no problem.
records straight.
I think I woke my wife up with my rant, so I'll be paying for it later.
And I think Seb was literally hoiked off the podcast by his wife. I think he said pulled off. That'd be a wrong terminology. Where is? Oh dear. Where is? No, I'm not. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, Franco. I'm not turning into him.
Right.
Anything you want to say before we go, Francis?
No, it's been lovely to speak to you all on Facebook, and it's been good. That's a good interaction. But basically, next time, everybody that's listening to this, get on our YouTube. We do these. We're trying to do them on a weekly basis. We're trying to get our numbers up on there. So yeah, join us next time and have as much fun as you've had today listening to us ramble on.
And this was exactly why we did this. We wanted to come on Facebook and kind of get you to get over onto our YouTube channel. So please do get over there, subscribe. There's some great content on there, some great videos, even if I do say so myself, on there previously. And our full back catalogue is on there. And you can even listen to the podcasts on there. Franco, when's the next pod?
Well, Brendan's doing a pod after the Ludogorets game on Thursday, and then obviously we'll have one at the weekend. But if it's even more of an incentive, we'll grey out our faces on YouTube, if that helps.
Yeah, you can just imagine. Yeah,
blur faces.
we could put some sexy faces on instead.
Yeah, put a mask of like Glenn Hoddle on here because he's from Harlow, and you could pick someone from wherever you're from. Caller parts.
I love Lamella.
There you go. Yeah.
For God's sake.
I
never want to hear Lamella on another podcast or live.
I might have to go off injured though. That's the problem. I might get injured. Anyway, right, caller, do a professional goodbye.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Good night from you. It's good night from me.
Good night from me, and it's good night from them.
Him.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, cheeseheads.